Well, I mean, even the whole healthy relationship with failure applies basically to everyone. Maybe more to entrepreneurs, just because we want to achieve more and we aim bigger and higher.
Yeah.
I mean, not just entrepreneurs, also, athletes and so on. So anybody who wants to do something big, something crazy, deals with more failure than, an average Joe. But even if you are just an average Joe, you still deal with those feelings and so on. So yeah, the things, I guess, that I'm trying to teach people, the mindfulness, the emotional intelligence, really just applies to everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so Miha, do you want to maybe we'll just start off, kick things off. Do you want to tell us a bit about
Sure.
yourself and how? Because yeah, everyone listening at home, Miha is a dear friend of mine. We've known each other for quite a few years now. We met through the online space. I'm based over in Australia, and you're over in Serbia, yeah?
Yes.
Yep, cool. Yeah. So do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, should I just start with the childhood and then go from there?
Honestly, however you want to roll, like, and obviously I want to be respectful of time as well. So if at any time you need to cut it short, we can. Hour and a half, 2 hours,
No,
whatever
no,
suits, and
that,
just go from there.
that's okay. As long as you have the feeling that we are giving the value to your audience, just yeah. But I can ramble sometimes,
I think we
and
both
so
can.
yeah.
I think that's why I'll start. Look, if it does end up going for 2 hours, I won't be surprised. But yeah,
Yeah, I can be quite the chatty one. So I mean, the whole childhood. I'm not gonna stay there for long, but it has great lessons for later on, and a lot of things that happened to me in the future were because of that childhood. Uh, and most people have stories of crazy things from childhood, abuse,
yeah,
this, that. Mine was the opposite. Mine was the probably the most perfect childhood you can imagine.
okay.
But I was never held accountable for anything. I never had to do anything. My mom would just send me and my dad to go to the zoo to clean the house. I mean, I literally never vacuumed. I never changed a light bulb. I never uh, even the lawn mowings. I mean, it seemed cool. You chase around with that lawnmower, but whenever I wanted to do that, it was like, no, you just go relax or read some comics or whatever you want to do. um, so yes, very, very perfect childhood, but the thing is, it didn't prepare me at all for adulthood. And
Absolutely, yeah. Like it sounds
yeah,
like the perfect life, but there's no, upon reflection, yeah, there's no real life skills learned there. So imagine
yeah,
as you
yeah.
hit your teens, and you may have found it difficult just to wash a dish,
Yeah, I
things
mean,
like that.
I dropped out of high school when I was 17, so that was in the third year of high school. That's how we do it here in Europe. We
Yep.
start high school at 15, and then 17, yeah, was the third year.
Okay.
So I dropped out of high school, and it wasn't like, oh no, you have to go to school, you have to do this, you have to do that. I mean, I was free to do whatever I wanted. And so my dad said, well, if you don't want to be in the high school, come join me. He had a small business, a very small family business. But he said, come join me. Well, you'll work here, you'll do something here, and you'll drive me around, kind of thing.
Okay.
And all my childhood, I saw how he was, constantly flying somewhere, and big lunches with business partners, and entrepreneurship sounded like the best thing ever. And I was like, hell yeah, I want to go and start working. For me, the idea to work was like, oh, I'll have, those crazy good lunches, the traveling, this and that. And
Yeah.
yeah. um, and that's how it was, actually. It wasn't like, oh, Miha, now you have to do this and this and this, you have to learn this stuff. It was almost like, if today somebody would just give you a laptop and said, like, you can just browse Facebook all day long, or you can do something like whatever you feel like. And one thing that I always enjoyed was creating connections. I always loved being surround people, having conversations, creating a network. Uh, so I was kind of doing the sales
Right.
because my father's company was wholesaling high voltage equipment to the national utilities. There were 5 utilities in Slovenia, and yeah, those were our clients. So he was importing all the different things like those cables and transformers, stations, and so on, and he would sell that to the utilities. So basically you had 5 clients with 5 purchasing departments, so one each, and 2, 3, 4 people in those purchasing departments. So it was same people all the time. And so basically sales was not, oh, I have to call and make a sales. Basically you were just nurturing a relationship as much as you could. You would take them often for lunch and stuff like that, and then every now and then you would just ask, hey, do you need anything from us?
Yeah.
I mean, it
Just take the
wasn't like
order.
that real sales. It was really just build a relationship. And so I did that, and I was good at it because I really enjoyed talking to people, hanging out with people. And I didn't learn about anything else, in business. How do you, I don't know, run your finances, cash flow planning,
Yep.
how you deal with employees, none of that, because my father was taking care of that. And so he was taking care of the company. And I really, really loved just going like 5 days a week. I was just on the road, like 5 utilities, 5 days. So I just had like Monday this, Tuesday that. Uh,
Yeah. Okay.
well, and everything was really great. I had a lot of money. I was partying every afternoon and every night. Life was good. In Slovenia, my peers, they didn't had much, so I felt like a Beverly Hills billionaire.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, compared to them, I mean, it's a different thing. I don't know, a thousand. $5,000 in Slovenia is probably like 20K or 50K in the US. Slovenia is a small country. The average paycheck now is a little bit above $1,000 per month. So, if you have 5,000, like you are like mega rich.
Yeah.
Uh, and so everything was great. I was living the life, crazy stuff, Michelin star restaurants, resorts, traveling, first class, business class, you name it. Now, unfortunately, one summer holiday, my mom and dad came back from their holiday. And after a few days, my father started feeling a little bit sick in his stomach. He called me and asked me if I can go to the pharmacy and bring him, those pills for the acid reflux,
Yeah.
because he thought that maybe it's that. I did that. Next day, my mom calls me, says, your dad is like awful. He didn't sleep all night. He won't listen to me. Can you come here and take him to the emergency? They need to check him. Something, these pills aren't working. And
Okay.
so we go to the ER. They keep him overnight. Next morning, I go there to visit him and to figure out what's happening. And they tell me that he has pancreatic cancer, and it's such a late stage that basically a few days later they put him on morphium, or I don't know, something to, and so he was basically unconscious for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and he died.
Shit, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean. And we had, I was the only child. I was working at that company. I thought I know how to run a business. I mean, it wasn't that, it didn't seem that difficult because, my father had all of that very under control. And it seemed like, oh, I mean, that's an easy thing to do. I mean, how hard can it be? My mom was a bank employee. I mean, nothing high levels. Like she was in one office, I was always joking that she would just all day long put papers from one pack to another, and then once you finish that, she would just go back. Like
Yeah. Okay.
really nothing entrepreneurial, nothing business, nothing like that. So she had no idea what to do with the company, and it was just logical that I take over from my father. I had no time to do any knowledge transfer or anything like that, to hear any pointers from my father, like be mindful about this or that, or you need to learn something. Sorry. I just got the Zoom pop up to notify me that I have a call with you.
Honestly, I love Zoom. It is so dodgy. Like I'm still trying to find the best video software yet. So I used Be Live for a little bit, and that just was so glitchy. My camera wouldn't even show up. So then Zoom, I was trying to remember my password just before, and I've jumped on now, and it said upgrade to Pro. I was like, well, hang on a minute, I've already got the Pro account, so I've quickly rushed in, checked. I'm like, I am paying for Pro. Why are you asking me to repay for it? Because if we were using the free account, we would have only got 40 minutes, and then it would have cut off. And the last thing I want to do is chat to you, and then mid-conversation it just turned off.
I know.
Oh,
and we hacked it a little bit because we jumped on a call a few minutes earlier.
Yeah.
And now Zoom is like, oh, reminder, you have a call with Ross right now. But yeah, so to just go on, so I took over the company, not really knowing what to do, but thinking that it surely must be a very easy thing to do. And it soon became clear that I really don't have any clue what I'm doing. I was running through the cash flow. I was burning money. I was burning credits. I was burning everything. And just a few months later, the company was ready. I think it wasn't just ready. I think it was beyond ready to go into bankruptcy. I mean, I think that was like 3 months ago it was ready. And sometimes in life you get lucky. And two people who were from finance department at one company that we were cooperating with, they saw something in me. They saw that I'm good at networking, I'm good at sales, but that I have no clue how to run the business. And they approached me and they said, well, Miha, if you give us a share, we'll put some money in, we'll make this company stable again, we'll take over everything, management. Here's the car keys, here's the credit card, here's mobile phone, here's laptop, and just you go do you, and we'll take care of the rest. And I said yes. And of course they took the majority share from me. But at that time, I was just like, I need to save this. When you're reactive and not proactive, then you have to do compromises that, you just have to say yes to stuff. Because I waited so long, I was literally, any day I would have to file for bankruptcy, or I would be, deeply in trouble because of the law. Because if you are the CEO and you don't file if it's needed, and I was already beyond that stage, the IRS, local IRS can go after you or something like that. So I just had to say yes. I didn't have any other option. Now, of course, I didn't do much due diligence. What these people are? Do we have any same values? Do we? And at the beginning, it was fine because they pumped the money in. They gave me what I needed. I got that. I was just out every day, the same as when my father was running the company. So Monday, this utility, Tuesday, this one, and I didn't see them much. And every month I was doing 150% more in revenue compared to the last month. So things were flying. I was busy, and everything was, kind of okay. You overlook those differences. Yeah. But then, when things really became being good, and, there were more and more disagreements between us, how the company should be run, what direction it should go into. And I'm not saying I was right. I think they were more right than me, because I still didn't learn anything about running the company. I just had this inner intuition, what direction should the business go into. I mean, inner intuition on what? I mean, now looking back. But the thing was that those differences became more and more apparent. And so when life was great again and abundant with everything, I started being the real entrepreneur. I started seeing problems in the world, and my thinking was, well, why would I bring those businesses into this company? I don't control the company. How hard it is. I'll just create new companies. Obviously, I'm good. I mean, and still I didn't get that in my thick head, that I'm good at sales and I suck at basically everything else. Now, this was around 2004, 2005, 2006, 7. Those were great times. In Europe, it's similar to what we were seeing now, 2018, 19, real estate going up almost daily, shares going up, people buying everything like crazy, banks literally throwing money at people to buy, houses or apartments or anything. So it was really great time. Now, when the times are great, you don't need much of the foundation, just same with the house. If you know that there won't be any earthquake, any rain, anything like that, I mean, you can basically just build something on the ground and it will work. Now you build the foundations for those occasions, the things that can happen.
Yeah.
And so my companies had zero foundation, but at that time, if you were good a little bit at marketing and sales, and I'm not saying marketing from a technical point of view, I'm not, I don't know how to do Facebook ads or anything like that. You're the expert of that. But
Thank you.
I was good in the psychology of the marketing, and the businesses I was
macro
in,
level.
they were, my businesses, all of the companies were in this higher, like, I wasn't doing things with direct consumers. So one was, dealing with utilities. Another one was building a huge project in real estate.
Basically, what this textbook could hold, not like your day-to-day sort of stuff. Corporate level stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Another one was helping investors with connection to the electricity grid and so on. So, and then renewable energy, but not for, if you want to buy a few panels for your house, it was for those big grid projects. So everything was more in the corporate environment, where marketing is really more like building a brand a little bit, and then a whole lot is more the sales and the networking and the connection building. And I was good at that. And, if the times are good, that can be enough. You can go easily. Well, all my companies went to minimum doing 2-3 million euros per year, which would be roughly 2.5, 3.5, 4 million US dollars per year, and all the way up to doing multiple 8 figures a year. So I was really, really well off. Yeah. And so at that time, why I know approximate net worth of mine is because I was considering selling one of those businesses. And so, a due diligence company came in and they did a little bit of due diligence on everything. And because of that, I know that my personal net worth was around 15 million US. And that was in 2009, summer 2009.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, just every newspaper you would pick up was just black, almost like somebody died, and everything was the crisis from the US came into the Europe. And when you don't have the foundations, you're the first one on the list to go. And so one Monday morning, it was December 7th, I think, December 7th, 2009, Monday morning, the bank called me. Like I said, one of my businesses was an investor in real estate, a huge real estate project, big shopping center, and then a lot of apartments, very luxury apartments on top of that. And they said, I just started basically with the building process, because we were like working so hard on the documents before that. And we were maybe 1/3 into the building phase. And they said, we made calculations, the prices dropped so significantly, this project will be nowhere near breaking even. And so we just have to cut our losses now before it's too late, before we go even deeper. Now, because I was this stupid entrepreneur and I had no idea about asset protection and things like that. And everything was really just co-signing for that project. I really went into that project with my whole heart and soul. I mean, I went into that project because I was greedy. I wanted more. I had a lot and I wanted even more. And I went into something that was way above my head. And now this one project, because I did all the mistakes you can do, like it was like a domino effect on everything else. I was co-signing. All my businesses were co-signing. Now, I don't know about Australia. I know that they don't have something similar in the US, but in Europe, at least in Slovenia, we had this thing where when you sign the agreement for the loan, you kind of pre-approve, blank pre-approval to the bank that's giving you the loan, that they can they don't have to sue you, but if you don't return the money when they say they need the money back, they can just go to whoever co-signed. So they can go to your personal
like a guarantor
account. Yes, but it's pre-approved, so they don't have to go through the court or anything. So the bank called me Monday morning. During the day, they went to all my businesses and put that into the banks. They sucked all the money out. This bank actually got most of the money back, but what happened was that I was unable to pay employees. I was unable to pay taxes. I was unable to pay suppliers in all the companies. They took all my personal money. They put something, I don't know how that's called, on all my personal assets to be taken away. So it was really just a one-day complete bankruptcy of everything. And so instead of owing money just to that one bank, a big bank, which wouldn't feel so terrible, I actually owed money to, well, literally it felt like to half of the me who had families to feed, to small businesses that were supplying the stuff. So, it was emotionally devastating because I never was that, tycoon kind of person. It wasn't like I know a lot of fellow entrepreneurs who intentionally used that crisis to clean things up, use the excuse of the recession, send things to a Swiss bank account or something similar. But I didn't do any of that,
Yeah.
And so it was really awful. And I did all the calculations after they took everything, after they bankrupted everything. I still was personally owing almost $5 million because I co-signed so many things. I guaranteed to so many things. And the thing in Slovenia at that time, I'm not sure, maybe the law has changed, but at that time, if you were a business owner and your companies went bankrupt and you didn't pay the employees and taxes, you weren't allowed to perform personal bankruptcy. Things wouldn't be just waved away. And so there was no option for me to, go that route and at least, start from zero. So I would wake up every morning to a whole bunch of phone calls. And like I said, I was also very emotional about all of that because I never intended for something like this to happen, for those wonderful people to be left without that. And I understood their situation. Some were in a really terrible situation. Because of that, a lot of them start threatening in different ways. Not just, we're going to sue you, but we'll do other things to you. So, that was some crazy time. And in the morning, I would wake up, phone call, bam, I was already in depression, full of anxiety, stress levels high. I believed those threats. I mean, now looking back with the knowledge that I have now, of course, nobody would kill me. Of course, nobody wants to go to jail for, a few $1,000 or a few tens of thousands of dollars or something like that. But, you do crazy thing when you are, on the edge. And at that
absolutely.
time, I really believed those things. And you know, I was afraid to even leave my apartment. I was afraid to go to the shopping center just to buy uh, you know, something to eat, because I felt, you know, what if somebody sees me? What if somebody sees that I bought some food? What if they make some drama there? So what followed was a few months of increasing anxiety, increasing depression, increasing stress. Darkness was coming in me more and more and more. I was more and more looking at me as a complete failure. And not that that's like a temporary thing, but you know, that's it. I used the good portion of my life, and now
Yeah.
this is my new
Look where
reality.
you've ended up.
It's
Yeah.
going to stay for the rest of my life. I'll have this daily struggle to even buy plain rice, to just cook that plain rice and eat that. So, you know, weeks went by, months went by. My head was like a nuclear reactor, you know, like just waiting to burst open because of all the pressure, of all the overthinking. I wasn't able to silence any of that. You know, even I remember, you know, Friday evening, and then, you know, the weekend. And on the weekend, there were no calls until Monday morning. I didn't enjoy the weekend. You know, it wasn't like, oh, the weekend is here, I can
Yeah, you'd be
finally
dreading
relax
waiting
a
for
little bit.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I was trying not to sleep for the whole weekend, just to prolong the hours. Because, you know, you go to sleep and bam, 8 hours go by and you wake up and, you know, it's almost Monday morning. So I was trying as hard as possibly I could to just stay awake for until 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., until I would, you know, just fall asleep at my desk and wake up maybe an hour or two later, completely drained, completely without any energy, with keyboard printed on my forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I often fell asleep over the keyboard. And yeah, that was my idea of prolonging the weekend, making it longer than it usually was. Just crazy things like that. And I remember as well, a friend of mine called me and invited me to his birthday. I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later. And I wanted to say yes, but nothing came out of my mouth because there was this block in here. I mean, how can you say yes if you don't know if you'll still be alive tomorrow?
Yeah, of course. I
And I
understand.
was physically unable to give him an answer. So all those things, you know, on every single day, when on rare occasions where I would go out, I was unable to be around people. You know, I would just drink the coffee and let's go. I have so much in my head. I can't listen to you ramble about some everyday thing, you know. And then I would go back home and be alone, and it was unbearable to be by yourself. You wanted to be somewhere out, somewhere, you know, just to take some mind off of that. So this was like a roller coaster, daily roller coaster, and every day it was worse and worse. And you know, every week you would say, okay, last week I really hit the rock bottom, and then next week would surprise you with even bigger rock bottom. So you know, when you think, okay, it can't go lower than this, and bam, next week it was even lower. Whatever I was trying, nothing worked. You know, there was the recession all over the world, everybody was in the recession mindset and so on. And I was just trying. I wasn't thinking in the right way. You know, now I know
Yeah.
how to use the recession, but then I didn't know. So to fast forward a little bit, a few months later, it was spring of 2010. The bank finally then sent me the notice that they will take the apartment away from me as well.
Oh,
And
shit. Yeah.
I was on the fifth floor, and I was at home sitting on the balcony, smoking, not weed, just regular cigarettes. And you
Okay.
know, I was caught in my head, and I just climbed over the balcony. I mean, I had suicidal ideas before that,
Yeah.
and you know, you Google ideas to kill yourself and so on. But at that point, the notice, that was the last thing I had.
Oh, the pressure you
I
must have had on
got
your shoulders, like, would have been unbelievable. Like, from all the
yeah.
staff that you felt responsible for, all the businesses, all the working cogs within the wheel of the businesses you got going. Like, that would have been such an unimaginable weight on your shoulders. Like, I could completely understand why you would just want to end it all. Like, that's, yeah, that no one would ever want to go through that, Miha. And you know, yeah, I'm just obviously I know this story, but to a degree, but I'm just astounded how well you've come back from it. But yeah, please continue. It's
No,
so, yeah, such
yeah,
an
I mean,
interesting story.
yeah, the thing was that, you know, I was always a fighter.
Yeah,
If I had something to fight for, but I lost, you know, any light in me because I had no idea what I can do to make this better. And, you know, you owe $5 million. It's not, oh, it's $5,000. I'll just get a job and I'll solve this in a few months.
yep,
Even if I need to eat rice for the next 6 months, I don't care. But 5 million is just such a huge amount. You have no idea how to solve that, how to come out of it. And yeah, like I said, I was, you know, thinking about suicide. I was, you know,
yeah,
often when I was driving uh, the leased car, I don't know why I didn't give it back. You know, that only just prolonged the whole
yeah.
thing
No,
even
I
more,
understand. You're trying to
and
push everything off.
and made even more problems for me later on. But you know, the thing was, you drive the car on a local road, and then trucks starts coming towards you, and you know, I was just every time I was like so close to just bam steer the
Mm.
wheel, and but I was just always afraid. What if they don't finish it? You know, what if I survive? What is if I will just end up on a wheelchair? And that happened to me on that balcony as well. um, you know, I was like, it's important that I was on the fifth floor because, you know, if you're on the 20th, you jump, you die. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
But on the fifth floor, things can happen. You can actually survive. And I remember I was holding myself with my left hand, and you know, I was already inclined, so I was on the other side of the fence, on the border, and inclined over, like, you know, I don't know, 45 degrees, whatever, and holding myself, and I was just looking down, and yeah, same thought. What if I fail at this as well? You know, and I don't know what happened in that moment. I mean, it's really hard to explain, strange to explain, and even I don't know how to explain it to myself. But it was almost like, you know, those two Mihas would appear. You know, the devil and
oh,
the
yeah,
angel. And
yeah,
and I don't know whether it was the angel or, well, it wasn't the angel or the devil, but it was just two Mihas. And one Miha started shouting at the other Miha, and I was actually shouting out loud, and neighbors could hear me. And I used a lot of juicy words. I'm not going to repeat that on your podcast, but it was along the line,
Miha.
you know.
Honestly, say whatever the fuck you want on here.
No, no. That's, I mean, it was really juicy words, but
Yeah. Okay.
uh, um, oh, oh yeah, you froze a little bit there, but yeah. So, you know, along the line, like, why did you go into that project? Why didn't you go to the lawyer? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why did you choose this partner? All of the things. For the first time ever, you. Now, this is where that perfect childhood comes into play. You know, I always believe that I'm this new reincarnation of Jesus, or I don't know what. And I can do no wrong. Whatever good I do is only natural. So I never celebrated some wins because that's only natural. You know, I'm
Yeah.
this amazing child that, you know, my whole family is worshiping. But then on the other hand, I can't do anything wrong. I was never held accountable. So if something wrong happens to me, it must be from the outside factors because, you know, how can I do anything wrong? And during that recession time, it was really easy to find blame outside of you, you know, the Americans and the banks and our government and European government and so on. So you can just go on and on and on in finding, you know, blame outside of you. But this time I didn't do that. It was you. And that's when it hit me, that if I do things differently, if I make different choices, better choices, if I change my habits, if I learn some stuff, I can do it again and I can do it better. So that was my aha moment. I already did it once. Now, if I do it better, I can do it again, bigger and better. And that was that little ray of light that suddenly started shining. I mean, on the other side of a huge long tunnel, I was aware that it's not something that, bam, I'll solve tomorrow, but it was enough for me to climb back in and to start fighting.
Great.
And
great.
I want to make sure to really point something here out. And I didn't do this in the first interviews when I was doing them. And it's very, very important. I just stopped here. I had the aha moment, and then I started fighting. And then fast forward to 2014 to my startup. Now, I want to make sure to really emphasize this wasn't, like now, an easy ride. What some people might think, it was daily fight, daily struggle. It was one hell of a journey. You fight with your old you, with your new you, with old habits, new habits. I don't think there was a single day when I didn't want to just give up on everything and so on. So it wasn't, but I kept fighting. But it was a very big fight. There were so many inner demons from my past, all the way, things like waking up to an alarm clock. I was never used to that. Like little things like that are just common sense for, any normal human being. But because of that vacuum childhood that I had, like I was struggling with the most common things that are like normal to just anybody else. And so that was one big adversity of mine. Like that perfect childhood was ended up being a huge adversity for me coping with the real world outside of that bubble. And so during that time, I don't think I mentioned, I got divorced and so on. So, most of my friends would never stop replying to my calls again and so on.
Yeah.
And so I felt all alone. And that's why, that just drove me to that point. But then I started fighting. And now I can say fast forward to 2014, when things started clicking together. I came up with the idea of a startup a few years earlier, and I was working at that idea, polishing the plan, the product market fit, and so on. But then things clicked together. I found a company that was willing to let me MVP them. So to do the minimum viable product, I found an investor that was willing to risk $3 million of an investment into that company. Well, I had the calculation that even if you fuck up tremendously, we will still make so and so many savings that they will at least get their money back. So but things kind of clicked together, and taking all those lessons from the past, I was able to really create something that was good. I did the hiring right. I did the systems and processes, and laying down all the foundations, all of that. And so I was able to scale that business from zero. We started, the company was formed on February 14th, Friday, Valentine's Day, 2014. And then by the end of the year, we were at almost $50 million in revenue.
Oh, wow.
And then next year, we went to 730. And then a competitor, a Fortune, I think they are Fortune 100 company or Fortune 200, they bought us. I mean, it was like a technology takeover because we were doing certain things in a very unique way that nobody else did before us in that way.
Yep.
So I can't talk too much because when you have the like kind of hostile takeover, they don't allow you to talk too much about it.
Fair enough.
Mean, some people don't understand this part because they're not from the startup environment, but maybe just, something. I heard from multiple sources. Now, I'm not sure if it's true completely or not, but I think they're really reliable sources, that Apple, the company we all know, buys between 200 and 300 companies every year. And we just know about very little fraction of them when it's good for the PR. Everything else is just hidden and they can't speak about it. They can't talk about it. They do the merger. They put all of that inside, and yeah, it is what it is. So, but yeah, I had a successful exit. Because of the system in place, I was able to walk away from day one. I wasn't locked in. I was able to repay my past debts. And
Fantastic.
I found myself, after so many years of that fight, I found myself with a strange freedom, a freedom of choice. I say that, you know, freedom of money is the easiest one. When you don't have it, it seems like the hardest, but in reality, once you go to 7, 8 figures and above, when you look back, the freedom of money is the easiest one. Much harder is the freedom of time, because you really need to have a reliable system that you trust laid out for you to let go. Otherwise, you know, we're so attached to our businesses that, you know, it's our baby. I can't just let go. So you really need a system that you trust. And this is one big thing that I help entrepreneurs in laying down. And then once you have those two freedoms, I believe you have the ultimate freedom. For me, the ultimate freedom is the freedom of choice, where it's very simple. You know, you don't have to do things. You choose to do things.
Absolutely.
But
The autonomy to choose what you want to do. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but it's such difference, because it's completely different energy. You do things differently because it's something you choose to do. It's something you're passionate about, something that you feel might be your purpose. You are more in touch with the whys. I mean, when you're still struggling to make ends meet, I mean, how can you think about, you know, big whys outside of you? Like, your why is, you know, to make ends meet, and that's completely
to cover rent,
understandable.
things like that, get food,
Yeah.
Provide for your family. Absolutely. They're all the first steps. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I found myself with the freedom of choice, and I did what any normal human being would do. I went to Lisbon to party for a few weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Lisbon. I really do. Lisbon, Portugal. And they're kind of like a good party, crazy place. And I thought, you know, like, I'll just find a house near the ocean, and you know, that's it. And, you know, I'll have my doggies run around the beach, and that's it. You know, living the life. I earned it. And then after about 3 days of partying and drinking and having fun, I got so bored. I took out my phone, and I was scrolling, and I saw Meetup app, and I haven't used that app for a while. I said, oh, wait a minute, maybe there are some meetups in Lisbon. Let's check, you know, click. And I see, wow, every day, 3, 4, 5 meetups. And I said, well, I need to be, you know, with my fellow entrepreneurs. I need the brainstorming. I need the, you know, the conversations. And I started going to meetups there in Lisbon. And, you know, when they see that you are a foreigner, everybody asks, you know, who you are, why did you come, what are you doing there, you know, tell us a little bit about, you know, your story, and so on. And as I was sharing that, without any idea of anything happening, fellow entrepreneurs started, you know, saying, hey, you know, would you mind having a look at my business plan? Hey,
Cool.
we would love to have you as our advisor on our board, and so on. And it felt so freaking good. For the first time in my life, nothing was about me. I was just enjoying the hell out of it.
Just helping
And
others.
without even thinking, you know, like any coaching or anything like that, I felt like a billionaire on the inside, you know, in my
fantastic.
heart. Yeah, and I was just helping left and right. And then a few months later, I was sitting with my friend. We were having a few beers, and, you know, I was like, well, you know, what do I do now? Like, do I start a new company? Because some investors were calling me, you know, Miha, if you start anything, we're there. Like, just tell us, like, you know, we want to be there next to you.
Yeah.
A lot of startups were pitching me ideas and so on. And, you know, I was a bit lost. Like, what do I do now? Nothing felt, you know, like, oh, I want to do this. And then this friend said, well, but what about this, you know, what you're doing, the mentoring, the coaching? I mean, you love it. Like, you shine when you talk about it. Like, I can see that sparkles in your eyes when you talk about how you help this and that. And, you know, I was like, well, I mean, what, do I just become a coach? Like for
Yeah.
me, being
Do
a
I just
coach
do it?
was like, I mean, if you don't know how to do stuff, then you teach. Like that was my attitude, you know. And
Yeah.
seeing all those, you know, Lambos and mentions and stuff like that, I was like, I can't, like, I'm not gonna be like this douchebags, you know. I mean, like, I can't do that. And he said, well, you know, the maybe that's a good thing. You do how you feel it, and maybe the world needs the other way of doing it. And then we started thinking about, how do I name this thing? And he said, well, you know, every single story that you starts with, I failed at this, and this is what I learned. And, you know, like how important it is to be okay with failure and so on. He said, well, just be a fail coach. You know, everybody's a success coach. You be a fail coach. And I don't know, maybe it was just a few beers, but I just fell in love with the idea.
I
You know,
love
if
that.
I'm
Yeah.
going to do this, I'm going to do it my way. And failure is not something to be afraid of. Failure is not something to be ashamed of. Failure is an amazing thing when you take it the right way, because it teaches you so much. And through the failures, if done correctly, if you fail fast and fail forward, you will reach that success super fast. So it's really an amazing thing that we should all embrace, and all of that. And I said, yeah, that sounds like something I want to do. And I registered it. Yeah, I never looked back. And the more I talk about all of these things, and the more people reach out to me, and even the clients that I help, some 7-8 figure clients, somewhere along the process, usually after a few months of working with me, they say, oh, wow, now I get it, why you're the fail coach.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is just, you know, adding to, you know, how strongly I'm standing behind the whole idea and the whole philosophy. Yeah, so that's, I think, the long version of the
That's
story.
fantastic. Yeah, so just organically all came about. For everyone listening at home, I was on your podcast recently, actually discussing some of my great failures in business. Do you want to give it a quick plug? What was it called again, Miha?
So the podcast is from below zero to hero, brain dump by the fail coach. So they can find it on Apple, on Google, on all the major podcasting platforms, or they can just go to braindumpbythefailcoach.com. I mean, I know
Awesome.
it's not the easiest URL, but yeah,
Yeah.
they can find it there.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun on your podcast. It was really good reminiscing. But I mean, yeah, it's just you've
I
got such an
agree.
incredible story. And from you going from, was it 15 million? Did you say of net worth to almost nothing?
-5.
4 hours. Yeah, -5. There you
Yeah.
go. Well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
Roughly about 20 million US dollars lost in literally in that whole Monday. So because they called me, they told me what they're gonna do, and then they started filing things. And the bank of my other companies, the moment they get the paper, they have to process all the money that's there and do the payment to the bank. So it was literally happening within hours of that call, and I got that call. I think it was just like 2 or 3 minutes after 9 a.m. because the banks, they start at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And I got the call within the first 5 minutes. The lady that was in charge of our project from the bank side, she just, you know, very cold, very, you know, like, you know, just bureaucratically told me, this is what we're going to do. There was no option for me for any but or why or you know, can we meet, can we very cold call, and she was a really nice lady up to that moment. But you know, I don't know, maybe they had a lot of pressure from the bank CEO or something like that. I don't know, but it was very, no, I think probably that call didn't last more than 3 minutes. This is
Wow.
what we found. We did the calculations. This is what it's showing. This is what we're going to do. Thank you. Bye-bye. I mean, that was really it.
That's rough. That would have to be one of the worst phone calls. Yeah, like from a business perspective, yeah, that has to be one of the worst phone calls. Now I'm just checking.
Sorry.
No, you're up, Miha. We're still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, sorry.
Still got you. But yeah, geez, but yeah, the amount of like drive you've gotten to be able to grow, you come back, and I love organically how you became the fail coach. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it just happened, and the thing was just I was just so enjoying helping, and I still do. I mean, I'm far away from those millions, honestly. I mean, but I just feel like a billionaire. I feel like, richer than Jeff Bezos. In like, it's just, there's no feeling like that warm fuzzy feeling in your heart when you help somebody, especially when you help somebody who's coming from great adversity, and you handhold them, you walk them through the process, you help them. And I like, just to give you one example, like this one young guy, I don't know, he found me in a Facebook group. I was sharing something, and he reached out to me. He was from Kenya, Africa. He was 21, 22, 23, something like that. And he wanted to be a copywriter. He was doing some things as a copywriter, and he was earning $200, $300, $400 a month, which for Kenya is
Oh, wow.
really not that bad. I mean,
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
And then he asked me if I would mentor him and so on, and I said yes. And we started the mentorship, and I was pushing him a little bit harder, and I gave him all the steps that he needs to do. And like now he's doing 6, 7, 8, 9,000 per month being a copywriter.
Yeah, wow.
And the loveliest thing is not that just I mean, of course, at first he, helped himself and the family, but now he's thinking how to use that money to build schools around Kenya to help young Kenyans to, make something out of them. And I mean, like
that's incredible.
How can you put any amount of dollars or whatever of currency on that? I mean, it just it melts your heart. And when he was telling me about all of that, I mean, tears just started, coming out. I mean, it's just such a wonderful story. And I could go on and on and on. People from Philippines and Eastern Europe and South America and so on. So I love those stories especially. I mean, that doesn't mean that I don't help Americans and Australians and West Europeans and so on, but it's just something, I guess, special when somebody really comes from huge adversity, and then you help them on that journey, and you can literally change somebody's life for the better. I mean, there's just I'm not aware of any other feeling that would be as good as that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Like as you said, people that have come from such adversity, and in certain areas of the world, that your help would mean so much more to them than those that have some privilege, whether it's in Australia, the US, Canada, and the Western countries as such. It's phenomenal. Well, you've made it when people are ripping off your courses, isn't that right?
Oh yeah. No, but I was really proud of that. Honestly, I really was. When I remember one guy messaged me from India, and he was explaining to me that he bought my course on a CD or DVD. And I mean, it's not my main course. It's not Framework for Freedom. It was just an experiment that I put on Udemy like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And somebody ripped that off. I mean, honestly, it's a $20 course, and Udemy is always 90 off, 70 off. So at the end of the day, it's just a few dollars anyway. But somebody felt that it's worth downloading the whole course and putting it on a CD, DVD. And now I don't remember that he said in Mumbai or in Delhi. But he bought it on the streets, and he reached out to me with some follow-up questions, and I was like, you know what, here's my Zoom link, just jump in, I'll help you any way I can. You just made my day. Somebody in India thought that simple, easy, really, it was a free course that I created for my chatbot. And then I just said, well, let's see what happens if I repost it on Udemy and put a little price tag on. And 3,000 some people bought it up. I mean, and at the end of the day, I think that the average amount that you get from Udemy, because they take those percents off and then for the marketing and shares cut and so on, I think on average you get like $1.50 per purchase. So I mean, it's, you know, really nothing special, but yeah, it just felt so good. Like, you know, wow, somebody, and the way I later, if you Google, now I'm not sure, do you have to Google my surname and put it in those how it's called, quotation quotes?
Yeah.
Or if you Google Fail Coach as the company, but yeah, it's actually on second or third page of Google results. Is a page that where you can buy, download it for free.
Yeah, right. Oh,
And
geez.
I'm like, just go ahead, do whatever you want. I mean,
Well, yeah. Oh shit. I don't encourage people to steal your course, but it's yeah, it's funny. You've made it if people are putting it out that hard.
I'm, in all honesty, I really like the content in even if you look at Framework for Freedom, the point is not the course. I'm sure I can go to YouTube and with a little bit of searching, I can find similar content.
Yeah.
Even better content, at least when it comes to the production aspect. But the thing is, all that content, we live in this age of infobesity. There's just so much out there. You don't know what to do, how to do. People are so lost on what's my next step, what should I focus on. And so the good thing is that when in my program, you have that really structured, one step at a time. That's how we create the biggest momentum. So that's one thing. But the most important part of everything that we do, and this is something I hear all the time from my students, past students, is that they really have the feeling that I really care about them and that we really care about them, and that they're not just a number, just, oh yeah, buy our shit and then you know, just do whatever you want, and you know, we'll fight you if you ask for a refund. They really have that feeling that I'm there for them, that I'm really interested in them succeeding, that I go above and beyond to help them. It's the brainstorming sessions that we do on a weekly basis. It's the, you know, mastermind calls. It's the Zoom calls. It's the live Q&A. It's the opportunity to ask. It's the opportunity to, you know, I call that Miha in your pocket, to have me on Voxer, and they can ask me questions when they're hitting certain walls along the journey. So it's all about that, and that's what, you know, the essence of Framework for Freedom is. Those lessons, they're just, you know, you need to create something. So, you know, but I could easily, if that wouldn't be against copyright, I could just go to YouTube and find at least similarly good or better in the quality of production content there, and I would just curate that into a playlist. And it would be more or less the same.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, there's so much information on the internet. One of the main reasons to buy a course is just the curve of learning, because there's that much out there. Your word, infobesity, I love that. But it's so accurate. Like, there is literally that much information out there on every single topic, that how do you know what information to trust? How you know what's accurate, what's not accurate, what path you should follow. And then sometimes you get a shiny object syndrome, where there's so many cool things out there that you don't know which one to pick. So then you'll spread your time out thinly. Rather than spending 100% on one task, you might spread, you know, 20% of your time on 5 different tasks. And so
I know. One thing that I see a lot of times is that, you know, what people do, they would buy 2 or 3 different courses, and then they pick what things they enjoy doing from this one and from this one and from this one. And then they don't see the results. Well, you have to do the things that you enjoy, but you also have to do certain things. I mean, nobody was born the perfect entrepreneur. If you would be born a perfect entrepreneur, you would already be Jeff Bezos. But, you know, we all have some skills. We have some skills we don't have, and you have to work on those. Some mindsets we have, some mindsets we don't have, and you have to work on those. So, you know, the key is, when you buy something, I mean, I did buy a lot of stuff just to check what, others are doing when I was entering the whole online space. Like, why would I reinvent the wheel? Let's just see how others are doing things, and then, I'll do it my way, but I can model what I feel is good and what I feel is not. And many of those programs that I bought, I saw immediately or very quickly why they wouldn't work or what's missing and so on. But there are others that are really, really good, but you have to follow the whole thing. It's not, I want to do this, but I'm going to skip step 2 and I'm going to go to step 3. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
and often people do that.
Yeah, exactly. We can't always do the fun stuff. We have to focus on money-making behavior as well, because if it was all about just doing the fun stuff, then you're not going to get anywhere. And they say if you pick I'm butchering this, but you pick a career that you enjoy and you'll never work a day in your life. I mean, that is correct to a degree, but you still have to put the work in. Like, you can't, if you enjoy
in the
painting,
beginning, yes.
Yeah, in the beginning, absolutely. And that can take years.
It depends on your leverages. So, let's say if you worked in a corporate environment, you had a really good job, and maybe you have some big money on your bank account and you're willing to invest that into your business. Now, let's say that, you know how to pick a good CEO or a good COO at that time. Might be a problem because you don't have that experience yet. But let's say, you do pick a good COO. That good COO will take all that boring stuff away from you. So, but most people, when they start their entrepreneurial journey, they are lacking on the resources. So they have to be the resource. And when this happens, you have to suck it up and you have to do the things that you like and the things that you don't like. Of course, what I'm teaching people is how to become a business owner, not a solopreneur. So I put in their mindset that as soon as you see some cash flow coming in, you make sure that you reinvest the profits back into the business, into maybe tools that can automatize your processes, maybe some freelancers, VAs that can do stuff that you don't like doing. So you can go quite quickly from, I have to do all this shit, to I'm just going to focus on the things I love. It doesn't have to take years. If you do it, if you approach it correctly, 3 to 6 months, and you can have that system laid out. But you have to put down the system. Now, again, if you have the leverage of money, or if you happen to start a partnership where you are more like I had this one lady from from Serbia, and she wasn't good at that front stuff, speaking English, being the charming lady on the videos and so on. So she partnered with another lady who was more good at that, and she took care of the back office, and that lady took care of the front office. But those partnerships, again, I was guiding them on how to do the partnership correctly, because if it's not done correctly, it will just bring you headaches. But if it's done correctly, partnerships are an amazing thing. Definitely. Joint ventures, partnerships, it just has to be done in the right way. And so I was helping them on how to set up the partnership, what discussions to have, the hard discussions that you need to have in the beginning, like what happens if this happens and so on. But yeah, we went through it. They made an agreement, they wrote it down, and yeah, it's like now they're already in their 3rd year of doing business, and they're doing fantastically. They have, I don't know, I think 15 plus employees and so on. So brilliant. It really happened very quickly for them. If you follow the right steps, and if you really focus on one step at a time, you generate the maximum momentum. The problem is when you are all over the place. But, again, we go back to foundations. The foundations are all also enabling you to measure things and to, make decisions based on key metrics. We have to eliminate a lot of the I think and I feel and I hope from the business. That has nothing to do with running a business, because if you feel that your Facebook might be working but you're not sure, you are afraid to let go of posting on your profile and just maybe focusing on Twitter, because Twitter actually generates something for you. And most of the time it's the elimination, not the adding stuff, but to eliminate. Because no matter how you turn it around, the 80-20 rule always works. you 80% of your activities bring only 20% of the results, and 20% of your activities bring 80% of your results. Now, the key is in figuring out what are those 20 that create the 80, and then you double that.
Yeah, absolutely. Double down and you make sure it's working, and then you just continue doing that, and you obviously implement other systems to just be able to scale. But yeah, I mean, that's the real basic foundations of it, and it's worked really well for you. And I know you've helped many people, and yeah, it's just amazing what you've been doing.
Well, thank you, Ross.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that coming from you.
No, thank you. Well, what prompted the move to Serbia?
Animals. Now, if you can see behind me,
Yeah.
that's Bobika. That's my second dog, and she's the responsible one for me moving to Serbia. So during that time of all those struggles after the suicide attempt, so the bouncing back,
Yeah.
I was just focused completely on the business and trying to, repay the money as fast as possible. But I was like burning myself out on all other areas. And during that time, I fancied a young lady, and she was a big, like, oh, save the dogs and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that was always on her news feed. And I saw Happy, my first dog, and I said, oh, if I adopt this dog, maybe she'll come visit me more often. Well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. But I fell in love with that crazy ball of fur, and actually my love to him was so much greater than I had zero love for myself at that time. I was just working myself out as much as I could, and he really took that balance into my life. I had to walk him, I had to go out, I had to mingle with other dog owners and so on, and I had to take better care of me, because where would he go if something happens to me? And so he still is like my number one guardian angel. And then when I started the startup, I was busy a lot, and I felt like, oh, he's home so much, like let's adopt a sister. And that's how I found the one behind me on the picture, Bobika. And she was from Novi Sad in Serbia. And so, that got me to travel more to Novi Sad and so on. And then when I exited my business, I just felt like I have to do more for the animals. And I knew what problems they have here in Serbia. It's not like in Asia. In Asia, it's even bigger problem. But, this was kind of like a more comfortable move for me with all the dogs and everything than to just move somewhere in Asia. And, you got to start somewhere. But I have big plans, what I want to do in the future when it comes to animals. But yeah, now, like, I do as much as I can. Like, so often you'll see me, running around the streets with salami in my pocket and chasing those dogs around and trying to catch them. And then you take them to the vet, and then you make sure that, they get all the treatment that they need, and then you find them new homes. But yeah, in the process, I now have 4 dogs that are mine. So, every now and then, but now the ladies that I'm helping, there's like a bunch of ladies that do this like a hobby thing. They all told me, Miha, enough is enough. Like, you have enough fur babies. Maybe it's time for you to start considering, creating some other babies. But, let's keep it at 4. Let's find those others good homes. We know that, you are the craziest mother and father there is, and that these dogs are like kings in your house. But we have to be a bit mindful of you, because otherwise you'll soon have 50 dogs yourself, and that's not how your life should look like. So but I'm trying to do as much as I can every single day. I can't do yet the things that I want to do, but I'm slowly moving towards that. This is one mentality that I often see lacking in entrepreneurs. They're always, oh, I don't have a better computer, I don't have a better this, I don't have that knowledge or this skill. Well, fuck it. Do what you can with what you have and work your way towards where you want to be. But so often they're just stopped So they don't move anywhere because, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. Well, I mean, things won't just fall out of the sky and one day, I don't know, you'll just have everything you need. I mean, we entrepreneurs, no matter at what level we are, there's always something missing. There's always more work than we can handle. There's always, more of everything or less of resources, but that shouldn't stop you. Just do what you can with what you have. That's the mentality you should have. Don't let things stop you without doing anything at all. I mean, I could just wait and be the couch commentator on Facebook whenever I would see a picture of animal. No, I see in those Facebook groups that we have, local Facebook groups, I see there's a dog hurt or something there. Bam, I go. I don't wait. I don't put a comment like, oh, poor dog, I really hope and pray that something will happen. Well, somebody has to do something.
Yeah.
So exactly. I think that's the mentality we entrepreneurs should have in general. You have to, things need to get done and somebody has to do them.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, funnily enough, it was last week? Yeah, last week I had a knock on the door at 8 p.m. and it was some person saying, oh, hi, a bunny rabbit seems to run into your backyard. Don't want to get run over. I was like, all right, that's a bit strange. So then for the next 15, 20 minutes, we were just looking around for this random rabbit that was in my backyard. Luckily, in a day or two, there was a poster I saw, and it was there. Please, give this number a call if you've seen this rabbit. So it was all good. But yeah, it was just a very, very random thing to occur. So yeah, you've got to be real proactive when it comes to that sort of stuff. When I went to Thailand, actually, I went because I'm very on the fence about zoos. Like, I love the conservation efforts that they do. Like, there's a place here in South Australia called Monarto's Zoological Park, and they've got the largest lion exhibition in the Southern Hemisphere because it's just acres upon acres of free land for them. And I paid a little bit extra, and you got to go in a cage, and I fed them through the cage. I was in the cage, not the lion. So, yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But, when I was over in Thailand visiting my dad, I was really keen to see what the zoos were like over there. And I saw one.
It's terrible.
Oh, honestly, one in the end, like I looked, what was the time? I think it was at 8 p.m. I was like, all right, look, I've got a big day tomorrow, but I wouldn't mind, seeing if there's a late night zoo at all. And I saw one online, and just by reading it, I just couldn't do it. It basically was at a zoo on the top of a department store. So all cement floors and little cages. And I could not give this place money. Like, even because I was even reading, well, what if I thought, why don't I go there and like film it and just bring awareness to how awful it is? But even in the reviews, it said, nah, they'll if you try to film it, like they'll take your phone from you, they'll catch you. Yeah, and I was like, fuck, like that's just not worth it. So yeah, I was quite appalled that that's even allowed to be going, like still being on. But it's the world we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I would love if I was able to, change the world in one day. I mean, and nothing would be more satisfying than to be able to do that. I'm also doing a lot for children. So children, animals, my nonprofit Failures Anonymous that I'm still working towards. We just did a few test runs here in Serbia and in Slovenia that I one day want to get up. But you just have to say to yourself, like, let's do what I can with what I have and work towards where I want to be, where I can make that bigger, greater impact. But yeah, there's a whole lot of things that needs to be changed. And I don't know, maybe it's a wrong opinion of mine or not, but I somehow don't believe that the politicians of the world will ever do anything for the greater good of humanity unless it's good for their PR. I strongly believe that it's on us entrepreneurs. We are the crazy ones. We are the ones who want to make an impact and change the world. More power to the entrepreneurs. And one thing, and this really saddens me, and this is one thing that I'm also trying to change. Good human and good entrepreneurs, often they have that misconception that, money will make you bad. And this is like one thing that I'm trying to bring awareness towards, the ones that are really enlightened and really good, they have good values. They are almost like afraid to ask for a payment, ask for money. They're afraid, oh, if I make some money, that will turn me into a bad person. And I'm trying to bring that awareness of that, no, money is just a tool. Money will make you more of who you are. I mean, like wine, you can drink a lot and, if you're a bad person, you'll start hitting and yelling and stuff like that. If you're a good person, you'll probably dance and laugh, and the same goes with money. Money just makes you more of who you are. And so I really feel that we have to change this mindset, and I'm really trying to speak about it every chance I get, that money is not a bad thing. Money is neither bad or good. Money is just a tool, a piece of paper. And if you're a good human being, I want you to have billions, quadrillions,
Yeah.
I mean, if when I reach the billions, I will be able to help, probably half the animals in the world. Now I can just do something locally. But with all those billions, I would be able to do that. With those billions, I would be able to help so many children in the world. I would be able to have the Failures Anonymous group in every city in the world. Things that I believe are really important. I would probably be able to, I don't know, maybe even do something for the environment. So having millions and billions and trillions and so on is not a bad thing if you're a good human. And it's very important that fellow entrepreneurs, that they stop looking at money as good versus evil. Money is just a piece of paper, but you can do a whole lot of it with it. I mean, it's what you do with it that really counts at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so what's next? So I know you've got a few things coming up. Are there any you're allowed to talk about at this stage?
I mean, there's always plenty of things going on. So one thing that I'm really enjoying for the past few months, and really a lot of people, ask me, what if you could point out one thing that really helped you on your journey, and I always say the leverage of trust. What do we do in business? We want to take people from no to like to trust, and that's a journey. And it takes some time. I mean, of course, if you sell something for $20, it's an easier journey. If you sell something that's much more valuable, it's longer journey. Now, depending how your brand is perceived and valued, that speeds up the process as well. But it's always a process. And if you need some resources, whether that's some oxygen money, if it's maybe to find a good employee or a partner or something like that. The leverage of trust, going to where you already have the trust, is what helped me the most. I mean, and so a few months ago, I started teaching the leverage of trust. I'm trying to teach people how to create trust, how to speed up their journey as much as possible, how to then nurture the trust once you already have it, how to leverage it in the right way, because trust can so easily be lost if you do the wrong thing. So all about trust, how to create it, how to nurture it, how to leverage it, how to not lose it. And if somebody wants to know more about that, all they have to do is go to frameworkforfreedom.com.
Beautiful.
I'm sure you'll put the link in the description.
Absolutely.
So they just go there. It's a $17 course plus a Facebook group. So I just, I'm always very transparent. It's our lead magnet. I mean, I could do that for free. I decided not to do it for free because I want people to be at least a little bit involved. Yes, they do get a lot, but that's my investment into my ecosystem. So, I'm always trying to be fully transparent about all of that. And then all our other things are more on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to the price range.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Well, that's awesome. So you've because you coach a lot of 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs as well, which I think is really interesting. And is that all?
Even corporations.
Even corporations, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just recently, I had the privilege to do some leadership training for the fashion brand Coach New York. which I believe is like Fortune 1000 or 500 company, which is a nice thing to put on your resume.
Definitely.
And they were very, very happy with the coaching, and we are continuing the relationship. So I do a little bit with corporations. I have a handful of 7-8 figure clients. But I'm always thinking how I can leverage my time better and help even more. So in the next few days, we are starting a mastermind for those 7-8 figure clients. I'm coming up with certain solutions for the 6-figure entrepreneurs,
cool.
The framework for freedom for new entrepreneurs, and so on. So I'm, just listening. Basically, the way I do things is very simple. I network with a whole lot of people, even, opportunities like talking to you, to people who I'm a guest of, they are my guests. And I just listen. I listen to what are your struggles, what are your desires. And when I see something where I say, hey, I really know how to help with that, if I hear that a few times, oh, there's a market for that. Let's test it out.
Oh, that's brilliant. No, that's fantastic. All right, well, Miha, so I guess I might wrap this up. This has been great fun. I'm getting a little peckish for dinner, if I'm honest. So, but no, this has been awesome. So, basically, do you want to just rehash I'll put all the links below, by the way. But yeah, if you want to just rehash your podcast again, just for anyone that's interested to hear all your fail stories, if they want to hear my fail story as well, that's in there.
Yeah, just Brain Dump by the Fail Coach. If you put that into the search, you will get it. So you don't have to go to braindumpbythefailcoach.com. Apple, Google, Switcher, Stitcher, Shopify, Spotify. I don't even know what all those platforms are, but we are on like 12, 13, 14 different platforms. So I think everywhere where you can listen to podcasts, the show is there. So they can just go to whatever fits them the most.
That's cool. It surprised me, because Online Footprint Project, I've just had it sitting on there organically for a few years. And even now, I'll still find it on very random websites that I've never heard of or agreed to before. And my entire just podcast episodes will just be on there. They'll be like, oh, check this out. I'm like, the fuck have these come from?
I know. I mean, I guess those are just services that, I don't know, copy paste other, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, when you search for it and when you put it in the quote, that term, you see it on places where I don't remember putting it there. But, the more people hear it, the better. So yeah, I'm quite okay.
I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm happy to get my name out there as much as possible. So I just find it funny, really. But so Miha, I guess just before we go, everyone listening at home, what's maybe one bit of advice that you could offer them? Because with the new series of Online Footprint Project, it's not really business orientated, but I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners that listen to this. So I thought if there was any episode to ask, this would be a perfect episode to ask. So yeah, what's one bit of advice for someone either thinking of starting up something or maybe they're just starting to tick along and they want to move to that next level? What can you suggest or advise for them?
Well, I mean, the best thing is, I would say for any entrepreneur at any size, make sure that you really have strong foundations in place, because only a good system that you really trust can enable you the freedom. And that's what we all want, isn't it? So make sure that you lay down all the right and strong foundations. And then, being the fail coach, developing healthy relationship with failure is really a very, very crucial thing if you want to see success sooner. Because if you experience failure and you go into the negative emotions, if you go into the negative self-talk, it will take you a whole lot of time and a whole lot of darkness before you are able to bounce back from that. If you have healthy relationship with failure, you'll just say, oh, okay, what can I learn from this? Cool, good lessons. Let's move on. Let's test something new out. And so the success will come much, much, much further without the mental health toll when you react with negative emotions and negative self-talk. So those two things, would kind of be most aligned with everything that I do anyway. But yeah, those two quick advices.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, Miha. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's always good having a chat with you. So yeah, no,
Likewise, Ross. Likewise.
thank you so much for your time. I'm really humbled that you've come on today, and yeah, I'll get this up shortly, and yeah, I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
Absolutely. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you for, letting me talk to your audience. So I really appreciate that. And all the best with the podcast and everything else that you're doing. And yes, absolutely. We will talk very soon again.
Cool. Thanks, Miha. Cool. Yeah, no, that was awesome. Thanks, Miha. That was great fun.
Yeah. Now go have dinner.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, we did well. I really enjoyed that, and that was just such an enriching conversation. Because I knew your story, but I didn't know it to that detail. So that was yeah, really insightful.
I mean, most of the time podcast hosts, they have this, like, oh, it needs to be 30 minutes or, something like that. And there's only so much you can share in 30
Exactly.
minutes, and especially if you speak a little bit slower. I've been told many times that people prefer to listen to me on 1.5 speed. So,
Yeah. I do
I
that
know that.
anyway. Basically anything educational, whether it's a podcast or it's a YouTube video, or an audio book, I listen to it at least 1.5. If I'm driving, I find I could probably get away with about maybe 1.7, 1.8 times, but any more than that, I'm driving, I don't really take it all in. But if I'm sitting somewhere quiet and there's no background noise, yeah, in some instances, I can easily sit down with an audio book and listen to it at 2 times speed. Yeah, I find just taking it in audibly, yeah, at 1 time speed is just not enough or not fast enough for me to take it in.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really good, to have like this space to really go deeper into those things, because usually, like you rush through the story. So even now I said to Elisabetta to not book me on anything below 30 minutes, because it just doesn't make sense. I mean, there's a lot of podcasts out there that try to be 10 and 12 and 15 and 17 and whatnot minutes long. But I mean, it's just too big story. And, it's not about the money, the numbers are irrelevant. I had those numbers, you had different numbers. It's the feelings, the emotions, the negative self-talk, what you're going through. That's what I want to communicate, because that's where maybe we can relate to each other, even though we have a completely different experience, whether that's in numbers or maybe even something different happened to you, but the feeling were similar, and all of that. So yeah, I told to Elisabetta, like, everything that's below 30 minutes, don't even book me, because it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm not doing this podcasting for self-promotion, for sales or anything like that. I really just want to bring awareness to those topics. That's my main goal.
Yeah,
and I really can't do that if it's not at least 30 minutes or longer, but preferably 45 to an hour. Well, that's where you can really dive deeper and go into those conversations.
Yeah, I definitely, like, you just can't dive in deep enough in 20 minutes. Like, I was going back through my old episodes from like the season 1 and 2 back in, say, 2018, whenever it was. And there'd be the odd one. I think there was like 2 or 3 episodes that were under half an hour, just because the people, and I respect that they were very busy, so they couldn't do it. But you listen to it, and it's very face value, like just at the very face value, like you can't really dive deep into anything, and still enjoyable episodes. But it's not the same as like here, where you could really dive in deep. And because I think we spent nearly an hour just talking about your story, which I thought was amazing. And we wouldn't have had the opportunity if so I'm very grateful of you giving your time today for me, so I really appreciate
it. It's my pleasure. I mean, one thing is, if the topic would be leverage of trust. We can do that in 20 minutes easily. What's the leverage of trust? What we can use it for? What's the technique? Some ideas about the CRM, the follow-ups, the reach outs, and so on. And we can do that in 15 to 20 minutes easily. But when it's stories like this and stories that are a bit longer, so it's not just, oh, this happened to me one day and then I solved it 3 days later, but something that really dragged for years. You just can't dive into that in a meaningful level that the audience would resonate with.
Definitely. No, I couldn't agree with you more. Awesome. All right, Miha, well, I will leave
Cool.
you there. I'm
Bon
going to
appetit.
get some food up. I think every time we jump on now, we talk about food.
Yes, bon appetit. Don't even tell me what you're eating, because last time you just made me hungry, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I'll think that you're eating something super boring, like broccoli or something like that.
I'm just about to have a raw piece of broccoli with a single chickpea on the side. How about that?
Yeah. That's perfect. That's not making my mouth water. Russ, have a lovely rest of your evening. Enjoy the week, and absolutely, we need to be more in touch. We need to talk more often. So
sounds good. Cool. All right, Miha, thank you for that. All right, I'll chat to you shortly. All right, see ya.